let's start, I guess. Yeah, welcome to the second stream about Azure Cloud. And this time we are trying to do some of the things we did last time really quickly again. And then we're going to jump over to setting up an actual development Minecraft server and trying to access that one with Intellij. So the idea here is that you can much quicker test out new ideas and features in Minecraft if you have a direct connection to the server, and you can then change code in Intellij, and that will directly affect the gameplay without rebooting the server or uploading a new file or something, right? So this is what we are trying to achieve this time. So the first step, I guess, is to quickly show you what we did before, right? The idea is we have the link. You can click on that one. If you click on the link, you get to this page right here, and you get general information about how to use Java on Azure, and you get here some information about Intellij and how to use the Azure toolkit on Intellij. We are gonna do something pretty basic, let's say, right? We are not even needing these toolkits yet. So what we are trying to do is just getting started at all with any kind of server development. And we are going to do that with just a normal Minecraft or just a normal dedicated server. And then we are going to host Minecraft on that dedicated server on our own. And then we're going to connect to that, and we're going to try to upload our first plugin, basically. All right, let's get started. So if you have not already, you need to register, obviously, then on the Azure Cloud. You need to set up an account, and you can do that here with just start your free account. Whoops, that's a little large. So you just click on start free account, and then you can see here you will get $200 of free Azure credit. And that is absolutely enough to go through all of this, what we are doing here. And you can even run the server for another month and you'll be fine. Okay, we did that already. So I'm gonna close that page. And then here, after you have set that up, you are gonna get into this view here where you are on the Azure server side. And last time we created a virtual machine, right? So this time I'm going to do the same thing again really quickly, just to show you that again, and mention some things I forgot last time, right? Just because I looked at it again to understand what exactly was going on and realized what the problems were, basically. So we are just going to say, oh yeah, I forgot already to say what we are going to do. We are just going to create a new Ubuntu server. And we are going to say that needs to go to some kind of this subscription. This is the free subscription still. The important thing here is, and that is what we missed last time, with the free subscription, you cannot buy all available services, right? You have some regions here where you can host your own server, and only some of them have free services available. And then these free services are also limited to specific kind of system, right? For example, the maximum amount of CPU cores you can use are 4 at the same time. So that is the reason why last time we couldn't get the super beefy machine, right? So if you press this upgrade button here at the very top, that allows you then to set up your credit card system so they can validate that you're a real person. And then all of these options will be available to you, even with the free credit, as far as I believe. But yeah, I'm not sure about that because I did not yet test that, because I wanted to make sure that this tutorial works with the free system. Okay, so we are again just using the Minecraft resource group as last time. If you don't have one, just create one here. Then we are again using a region that is as close as possible to us, because a low ping is always helpful in removing files and adding files to the server. And then we use all the defaults here. In this one, for example, we also can use the default here because this one is free. We can see here the generation 2 is also free, so we can try that one. And then we are just gonna go with the server idle had last time. You can see the price here, that is for the whole month. Keep in mind, we're just gonna shut down the server or set it on pause. as soon as we are done developing, right? So even if you are developing, let's say 8 hours a day, and you are developing 5 days a week, right? And you do that for 28 days or something, then you have a total of 1,120 hours, but that is much less than the whole hours in the month, right? And you would only pay that part of the whole month, right? So the whole month would be, I guess, 7. Oh no, I miscalculated. God damn. I needed to calculate 8 hours of work times 28 days. That's, it's probably 25 days, right? Is it even 20? Oh yeah, it's only 20. I work too much on weekends. So you would have 160 hours. And then if you calculate all of the available hours, you have 24 times 30, I guess. So 720, right? So you would only pay a fraction of this if you just shut down your development server as soon as you are done. Okay. So I'm just going to go with this one. If you want to select a different one, I guess the important part about that is to understand what these numbers here mean, right? Some of the numbers here, for example, the vcores tell you how many cores you have available, but they don't tell you directly what the performance of each individual core is, right? For that, you can go into the documentation. There you will have a, I think it's this one. Let's quickly check. And there you have, what was it called again? They had a special name for that. Maybe we find that on Compute Optimized. They should have a reference to that, I guess. Azure Compute Units, right. Yeah, you have these Azure Compute Units. That's basically like a rough estimate on how good the specific CPU core will be, right? And you can see here you have values from below 100 for very, let's say, low performing CPUs that use low amount of power. And then you can go to up to very high frequent ones here to 300, 340, right? So that gives you a rough estimate on how performant the given core will be. And that is important for Minecraft, basically, because Minecraft needs a pretty beefy single core, if possible. That will help you in development. Okay. But we can go back. We're gonna keep the machine we have here. This is fine. And we are gonna say again, I just want a normal password here. A username, I wrote it down last time, right? So make sure whenever you do something like this and you've maybe not done it before, make sure you write down whatever you did, right? This is the file from last time. This is the IP address from the last server. And this time I'm just going to use, again, Kade as name. Then you can see the password I stored in a password storage, and I did not store this in this file directly. That's the important step, I guess, right? Don't write your password just in a text file, if possible. And I'm just gonna set up that again. Let me add an entry here to my password manager that is off screen, obviously. And I'm just gonna use that password now. So let's add that in here. And okay, then the only important thing is that there is at least this SSH port available, otherwise we cannot connect to the server, right? And that's pretty much it. We now could go through the different steps here and say we want to set up the disk and we want to set up the networking and all that stuff, right? But I don't really need that, so I'm just going to create the instance. Validation failed. Required information missing. Okay, so I did in fact miss something. Virtual machine name. Okay, I guess. ETM, we're gonna call it again. Okay, so the idea of this was just to show you that it can be much easier than last time, right? if you didn't done this once, the next time is much easier. So we are gonna create this. And now the server is being deployed for us. And this should take maybe a minute or something. We'll see. Okay, while this is happening in the background, we can already go to the next step because we want to create a Minecraft server, right? And we want to set up a plugin on this. So what better way than having a tutorial for that? This is on the spigot.mc.org website, and that is a create a blank Spigot plugin, right? Spigot is like a API system on top of the Java Minecraft version, and that allows you to create additional content for Minecraft on top of the Java version, right? This is the one we care about in this tutorial. And then, oh yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in chat, right? Then I can answer you directly if anything is missing. So we are going to go through this. So if you haven't set up Intellij yet, do this. And then you can also always follow this guide if something is unclear in my video or something. All right, you can see here they are just setting up a normal project, and they are starting to name that, and so on and so on and so on. It's very easy to understand, I would say, here with all of these steps. And yeah, we are going to do that in a second. First, let's make sure, the machine is running. We can see here deployment details. Let me quickly check if there's anything in here I shouldn't show. No, that's fine. Okay, so all you need to do then after this has been set up is you have this go to resource. That is the next step, basically. And then you get into the normal view of the server. And here you can see then, we don't need this. Here you can see the ETM one was set up a few seconds ago, and this virtual machine is now accessible for us. And we could already most likely connect to it. Right. You can do that, for example, with Putty. That's a Windows client, SSH client you could use. I, for example, currently am using MobiXterm to connect to the given server. And yeah, there's not much more than that. Okay, so let's create a connection to the server. And for that, we'll need to know the IP address so we can connect to it. And that is shown over here. So this is the IP address that I need. All right. So let me quickly set up that. We just need to create a new session. In my case, then it looks like this. You just copy the host IP address right there, and then you specify the username that you took, and that should grant you a new session like this. And you can see you are connected then to the given server, and then you just need to provide the password that you set up, and that should now give you access. That's pretty much it. Now you have a running server, and you can not only install, obviously, Minecraft on this, but you could host your website and stuff on that and run Nginx and things like that. All right, then we had our small help file here that tells us what we need to do next. So last time what we did was we ran apt-get, that is for installing the latest packages. So we're going to do that real quickly again. And then we are going to do the upgrade one as well, to make sure we are on the latest updates. Do you have your YouTube channel? Yes, I have one, but it's very small and I don't upload that much, so not that helpful currently. Okay, and then the next thing here we can see we need some kind of Java version to be able to start a Java in Minecraft instance, right? So there again, we're just gonna use this one. That is again sudo apt-get and then the name of that. Install, I forgot. And all right, let's do that. Okay, now let's go. While this is running, you can see after this Java will be installed. I guess we can wait. This is pretty quick. After this, we can quickly make sure if the Java version is installed by just calling Java version. And that should tell us if we are on the correct version, right? We want to make sure that the version you have installed on your local computer that you are using in Intellij is the same version that you are using on the Minecraft server. So this is done now, java ---- version, and we can see this is now 17.0.1, and that's the same that I have locally installed. Okay. Now to the next step, right? We said we need a blank Spigot Spigot plugin, sorry. And we need to set up something for that. So all we need to do for that is we need to go into Intellij, and we say then, for example, new project. And in my case, I want to have a Maven project. That will be helpful. Oh, wait, actually, let's check what they are using, so I don't confuse you with two different versions. They just use create a new project. Do they have Maven in here? Running the plugin. You can also use build tools like Maven and Gradle and Ant. Okay, they reference that, but they don't show that. All right. Let's try the more difficult one, I guess. If you don't know, Maven is a helpful tool, let's say, that allows you to easier import external libraries into whatever you're building, right? And that can be managed for you automatically. It's similar to, let's say, something like the package file in TypeScript or in Angular or something, or in JavaScript. Yeah, I'm gonna use that one. And now we need a name for that. Let's go into development, Azure, and then let's call it tutorial. Didn't I create that already? I did not. Okay. And let's create the project. More than that, we don't really need to do. And now we have a new project. You can see here there are some defaults set up. So we have a POM file that is like the main file of Maven that defines what we are using here in this plugin. And we have our source folders. All right. And then the first thing we need to do is follow some of the instructions that we had in the tutorial here. And there we can see the same that we just did. We create a new project, and then the next step is most likely to insert the jar file that we need to develop on top of Minecraft, right? Because the project, the Spigot project here, is basically giving you the underlying structure of, or underlying API, let's say, that allows you to build stuff on top of Minecraft, right? Minecraft in and of itself does not provide an API, and this project provides you an API. So what we need to do is we need to first get this API, and we need to be able to reference that in our project, right? Otherwise, we can't really use the functionality of that. So how do we do that? Let's see here. Been a while since I needed to do that. Where's the step? Where's the step? It's a little bit too large for me. Did I jump over it already? Oh yeah, okay, they just referenced it here very, very minorly. So they don't go into detail how to do this, how to reference this jar file here. So let's do that. What we need here is we need the Spigot build tools. And these are also available on their website. And they describe how that works. So generally, we just need to scroll down, scroll down, scroll down until we get to the point where that is described how to do that. We can either do that on Linux or we can do that on our local system. We can now just use the server that we just created on the Azure cloud to do the work for us. So in this case, you can see here they are describing that we need Git and Java on the given server, right? And then they describe here that you can install these. In this case, they are installing OpenJDK 8. That's a little bit older than what we were using. But we did not install Git yet. So let's do this part. So we are going to install Git on the server here. Oh, that was already installed. That's good. And then the next step should be, where is the running build tools? Right. So the build tools is basically like a small jar file that allows you to create the Spigot jar that you need for developing any kind of plugin on top of Minecraft. So you can see here they provide a link, and we're just gonna copy that. We're just gonna wget that file to the server, but not just in a random folder. Let's create a Spigot folder. Let's go into there, and let's download it into that folder. Okay, that's done. And the next thing then they talk about is we need to run this project, or run this jar file, right? So that would be just java -jar and then build tools. This is how we can run the jar. And then that will then build us the default, right? So if you want to build a specific version, make sure that you append the version number here at the very end. But typically, you should be fine with the default, right? Currently, it's Minecraft 1.18, and this is now building for 1.18. You can see here, it's attempting to build version latest. And if you don't want that, provide --ref and then the version number. So 1.16, 1.17 or something like that you could add here. We are going to wait for this to finish. And while that is happening, we can quickly look here at the other things that they are talking about. For example, they then, after the process is done here, you can see that, what is this? If you need more memory or whatever. Okay, we don't care about that yet. Okay, that's just building. So what we need to do now is we are building the Spigot jar on the server, but we need that on the local computer, right? Because we want to develop the plugin locally, and then we want to upload that to the server once. And after that, we kind of want to use the Hotswapping functionality if possible. Okay, so for that step, we want to wait for this here to quickly finish. And then after that has finished, we want to download the files from the server to our local machine, right? So how do we do that? Currently, we only have this console. You can pretty much use any client that you are familiar with either, right? For example, there are tools like FileZilla that could do that, or WinSCP could do that. There might also be other tools, but in my case, I will just use WinSCP. So let me quickly show you how that works. You can use Maven for providing Spigot. Yeah, that's true. We could have done that as well. We need that jar anyway on the server, right? Yeah, maybe that's a better idea. Then I don't have to show you how to upload the files. Maybe I need to show that later anyway. Do I? Yeah, I need to, right? We need to upload the plugin anyway. So this is necessary anyway. Okay. Let's do... Okay, I can't really hide that part. Doesn't really matter. These are just my own services. Okay, you would have something like this, and let's zoom in on that. And I might not have cleaned up the zoom screen. I did. Okay, that's good. So this would be the connection thing. We also, again, just need the IP address from the server again. So we'll just copy that and insert this here. We can then, again, print our name in here. And then we need the password again. So I'm going to paste that in here. And then we can just log into the given server. And we are connecting with SFTP to the given server. And this gives us a just like a Windows Explorer view of the server, right? And we can see here we have the Spigot folder in my local home folder. And in that Spigot folder, we have the files that were just created by our compile script. And here you can see the Spigot jar available for us. And we could use this then to start a Minecraft server. So let's quickly try this out. For that, let's just, we can also just create a folder like this, right? We don't need to do it in the console. So we can call it test, I guess. And then we could even copy the file from here into the test folder without using commands, right? We can obviously then do the same with the console as well. So just to show you how that would work. And we can also then obviously copy any kind of file onto the server with this WinSCP client. So for example, we could use a, I don't know, let's upload some random file that I have here. So I just uploaded a PNG here, and that is now available on the given server. Sometimes you need to make sure that these are accessible, right? You see the rights and the permissions here. So it might be necessary for you to change the permission or change the owner to be able to run the given file. This is a common, very, very common problem that you simply don't have set that the file is allowed to be run on the server. That is a pretty common problem. Okay, I'm gonna delete that one again. Let's move this one out of the way. Let's go back into my normal view. And then we copied the jar file, so we can go back. And then in the test folder, we can look into the test folder. We see the Spigot jar. We can try to run the Spigot jar and just see what happens. And it should give us an error because we did not agree with the terms of service of Microsoft or Mojang or Minecraft. So we would need to go into this file. And here again, right, we can use Vim or V or whatever. But we can also then, if you're not that familiar with these tools, we can also just go into the Explorer window here again from WinSCP of the given server. And there we can just go into the test folder. We can open the file, and then we can just write true here and save the file with Control S and close it again. And if we start the server now, it should no longer complain that we did not agree to the terms of service. So let's quickly make sure that is true. We can see here the server is booting up. It has some kind of error. Unsatisfied link error. Okay. That is interesting. This is most likely because, and that is now the different to the normal Minecraft server that we installed. This is AWT, so that's most likely something for the UI system. And we specifically installed the headless version of the JDK, right? And this AWT of Java most likely needs not the headless version, but the normal version. Alternatively, you can run a jar also as headless. For that, I just need to make sure that I know the command. Because I don't remember that one. You can see here, this would be the command, right? You can add this as a parameter in the console, and that would run it headless. So let's try that real quick. And no UI, yeah, true. There's a no UI command in Minecraft. So let's try that one first. If it maybe is misinterpreting that we have a UI, we'll find out now, I guess. Maybe that is sufficient. That seems to be sufficient. Okay, I did not know that. Let's stop the server one more time. Oh, it's still setting up. Sorry. That takes a while. To set up the world initially in Minecraft just takes a little while, so we need to wait for that. I want to check if what my command would have broken or fixed, right? Just to make sure if this is a viable solution on its own, or if you need to know about the Minecraft specific no UI or no GUI, I guess, command. So this one we don't need right now. Let's move that back. Come on. Okay, this is the overworld. This should now be the nether. We can see that. Yep. Nether typically is faster. Should be done in a sec here. And then the end, I think, is absolute fastest because the end only has the middle island, right? And then around that island is a whole lot of nothing. So that's pretty easy to generate. Okay, that's done. And now the nether, super quick, and we are done. Server booted up completely. I already typed in the stop command. So it is already shutting down here and saving all of the world data. And we are done now. Okay, so let me try the same command with this one. Let's see what happens then. If it crashes or if this indirectly... Okay, this seems to work as well. Okay, that's good. So both solutions work. And the headless one is a more general solution, I guess. Okay, and now we can see, because it was set up already once, it is now much quicker to boot up the server here. All right. So the next step is, I hope we have that in the tutorial page, to reference the Spigot jar. Let's go over there. So this was the build tools. We are basically finished with that. We don't need the rest. And in this view, oh yeah, right, they don't use Maven. That's why they don't have that, right? So we can also just look that up, I guess. Spigot Maven dependency. And that should give us the correct page then how to do that. We can see here, this looks similar to what we have on our Intellij. So we can see here our plugin is currently called org.example.tutorial. We could change that to anything else. Let's say de this tutorial, and then the version is maybe just 1.0 or 0.1, whatever. We are using the Java version 17. That's good. We maybe even want to use preview features, but that's good enough for now. Now we need the import of Spigot, and we can see this is described here. You can see we can add this repository here. This is basically telling us that please look up on this online system if there is a jar file available. So that one we need. We can put that right there. And this is the place where it's going to look. And then this defines what exactly from this place we need, right? Because they have maybe hundreds of jar files or references or plugins available, and we only need this one specifically. So in this case, we only care about the Spigot API. So generally, the Spigot system is divided into two parts. They have an API part, and then they have an implementation part. And for developing plugins, if possible, you should only rely on the API and not on the other one. Because if you rely on the other one, your plugins might break at any time in any update, right? So generally, you only want to reference this one. Because we are talking about something that is not really meant to be changed that much, if you want to do more complex stuff, this is a little bit difficult, right? So sometimes if you want to do advanced things or heavy manipulation of Minecraft, this might not be enough, and you need to reference the other one, right? Just that you know about that. So that can be the solution to some things, but you should avoid it if possible. So if we imported this one, we need to load Maven changes that hopefully fixes these problems right here. Let's see if that is true. Yes, it fixed them. So now we know that this is a known dependency, and we can use that now in our Java plugin. Okay. We have this part, so we can close this for now, and we can go back to the tutorial thing, and we'll see that the only thing that they do is basically create a new package, and then in that they create their first Java file. So let's do that as well. And for that, we just go in here. And I'm pretty new to Intellij as well, so might not know the best hotkeys. But yeah, I'm typically programming in another editor. Okay, so let's just create the class. Our class name in this case could be tutorial, right? And that is now, I didn't create the package. Okay, you need to do that the other way around here, I guess. I'm pretty sure the editor can help us here, right? We can say package de card tutorial. And then it should tell us about that I can fix this, right? Yep. Okay, move it, please. Thanks. Okay, fixed it for us. Very nice. Okay, now we need to say this is our class, but we want to be a plugin that runs on the Minecraft server, right? And for this, we need to do what they do basically here. And that is to extend a Java plugin. That is the name of the internal system of Spigot, how you define that you are something that should be loaded when the Minecraft server is loading. And this then needs an import. Why is it complaining? Whoops. Do we not have the import? Wait. Okay, just, yeah, okay. Didn't know that this should be an import, I guess. Oh, I missed the S? Wait, did I? Oh, okay. Yeah, true. I missed the S. Yeah, that is correct. Okay, and this one then tells the system basically that as long as this file, and after we compiled it and we created a jar file and we put that into the plugins folder of the server, this will be tried to run as a Minecraft plugin. We also need to provide a small file additionally that tells the Spigot server that this should be loaded and where this class file is placed, right? So we need to set that one up as well. But before we do that, they should provide you with general information about methods that you can override. So typically what happens is you have a method like on enable, on disable, and you have some other ones. Do they show them here? They don't show them here. Okay. These are called when the server boots up and shuts down, and when your plugin is loaded and unloaded, right? So if there's anything you need to do when your plugin is loading, for example, you need to read a config file, or you need to write to a config file on shutdown, or you want to close connections to a database or something, right? Like that, right? These are, for example, important for that, that you know about something is happening on the server. And that is something that is done a lot in a plugin environment, that you are getting informed by the server that something is happening. And a lot of other things work on this event-based system as well. Okay, so we are just going to steal this, and we're going to insert that. And you can see here it needs some imports as well. And this should be this one, I'm pretty sure. They changed that. Let me actually show you that. Before you had the org.bucket chat color that was used in earlier years, and now in recent years they changed to another one. So I switched to using the latest version here. And we should be able to save that. And this here is just the normal bucket one that should be just imported for you, I hope. Maybe not. Why don't we get the logger? That's interesting. Is that maybe an older tutorial then? Interesting. But yeah, I guess you should maybe not use the bucket logger anyway. Maybe you should use log4j or something like that in a fixed version. Okay, but generally you should also be able to not even use this at all, right? We could just use a system out, and that should be shown as well. So in this case, yeah, let's just use that one. So we're just going to add a message in here, and then we can see there's another one on disable. So that is when the server is shutting down. We can use that one as well here and say is shutting down now. Okay, so just that we know that our plugin is booting up or not, right? That's the important part. Oh, were there no brackets? Did I miss that? Oh, yes. Why are they missing here? Oh, because they were public ones? Thanks. Good. Didn't even realize that might be a possibility. Yeah, you're correct. Yeah, that's strange that they are missing. Okay, we have this one. And now we need to set up bucket logger is actually the way to go for logging. If you don't use it, your error messages, for example, won't be in the crash log. Okay, yeah, it depends a little bit on what you do, right? On what scale you are working on. For example, in my case, I have a custom log4j config file, and I log to 2 different kinds of logs depending on what I want to have, right? So I have basically like an info log file, and I have a debug log file. So I'm not getting spammed in the Minecraft console with all of the information and debugs. But at the same time, I am creating a debug log that allows me to understand later down the line maybe what has happened at that point in time, right? So it depends a little bit on how extreme you go on your logging. Okay, so now the next part is that this file cannot yet be found by Spigot. So we need to make sure that it can be found by Spigot, and for that we need to provide a plugin YAML file, and that will contain just some very rudimentary basic information about our plugin name, our version, the author, and then specifically what is the main class, how this can be called, and how we can boot up your plugin, right? This is the important one. So for that, we can just copy this, I guess. And this needs to go into must be stored in the source folder. Otherwise, it won't work, right? So let's do that. We are going to go on the source folder, new, create a, what's that? Text file? Oh, there was this one probably. Okay, and this one is then just called tutorial or something. Then our version was 0.1. Our name, Azure or something. And then the path was DE, and then this, and then the plugin name, this, right? And then here the API version must be provided. In our case, we are just using the latest version of Minecraft, so this would be 1.18. Should be resource. Yeah, I'm not sure why they say it must be in the source folder here. Because I also fully expect that to crash if we don't put it into the resource folder. This seems to be a little bit aged, maybe. So I'm pretty sure it needs to go into the resource folder as well. So let's do that for now. Okay. Then we should be able to create a jar file out of this, right? And for that, we need a build script in Maven, I think, right? Or does this have a default? I'm not actually sure how Intellij does that. The resources folder is in the source folder. Yeah, that is true, but they don't say that, right? Or did they say that? No, they don't use the word resource there. So yeah, a little bit confusing at least, I guess. Let me quickly check. We are in Azure, tutorial, target, generated classes. Okay, no, it is not. Good. So we need to define that the Maven one here is, if we just build this, right? We have the install, for example. This should default. I hope so. And it seems it does, yeah. This building gives us then a small jar file here. And this jar file is basically like a zip file, right? So what we can do, we can actually look into that zip file. Let's do, I don't know, some zip program. And then if we look into that, we can see this is what it looks internally. We have our plugin YAML right here. We have some metadata container. That metadata container, yeah, we don't care about this now. And we have our path to our source file tutorial, and then there is our tutorial class, right? This is the compiled version of our tutorial.java file. And this seems good, right? It's important that we have this plugin file here, this YAML file, otherwise this will not be recognized as a plugin. And then we also have the file that is being referenced in here, so that should be working. So what we need to do now is basically just go to, whoops, and I missed, this is too large again. So what we basically just need to do is we need to upload that to the given server, right? So we have our Spigot test server here in our folder, and after it booted up, we can see now if I press F5, it loads all of the data in the folder, and we can see here there is already a plugins folder, and there are also folders for the logs for the different worlds in Minecraft. So there is the plugins folder, and right in here we just need to put the tutorial file, right? So copy paste that over here. And that should be sufficient, right? So this is the easiest way, if you have not set up anything, how to get your plugin running on a Minecraft server. So that's at least the goal for now, right? So make it easy for somebody joining this newly. So first we need to shut down the already running server. And all we need to do now is start it again because the plugin is now there. So let's try that one more time. And we should get the information from our plugin that it loaded up. Let's see if that happens or not. Here we can see worlds are booting up again. Did I miss it already? I think the worlds are loading first, right? Yeah, the worlds are loading first. You already saw it. Am I blind? Wait. No, you shouldn't have been able to. Okay, so worlds are loading again, and this is loading because it's keeping the spawns of the given worlds in memory. And right here we can see enabled plugin tutorial. My plugin is starting now. So that worked. And then if I shut down the server, it should give us the second message. My plugin is shutting down. Disabling tutorial version 0.1. Okay, so we now know what we did now worked. So now we can finally get to the advanced stuff. And that will be very, very simple. We are just gonna try to add a very basic command, and we should interact on that command, right? So this is the very, very first step that we can do to interact at all. So for that, again, you should always just try to rely on information you have available online. I could go into my own plugins, right? There I have all the setup for that stuff, but I don't want to do that, right? We want to be able to say Spigot tutorial command or something. And that should give us information either if you like videos more, right, as maybe you're watching this, or you want to create a simple command. There you have the explanation of how that works. And we should have, where is it? We should be able to add a new command like this one to our system. In this case, you can see they are creating a new class, and that is implementing a command executor, right? And that is one of the ways to tag one of your classes to say that this should be used as a command in the game, and it should be registered as well, right? We need to register everything that we are creating in the Spigot system or in the bucket system to make sure that it knows about them, and then they get called if the command is being typed in the game. Let's make sure that I still have the latest knowledge of this, or maybe you guys in the chat can actually help me, because I don't use this stuff anymore, right? I have like 1,000 commands that use some advanced calling methods, like don't help him. Wow. Okay, so we are just going to create a new file, and we are for now just going to create that in the same folder, and we are just going to name that something like test command, right? And then we can say here it implements command implement, command executor from org bucket command. And now it tells us, there's something missing. You didn't set up everything, right? That's the method that it showed us. So we can just say implement that method for us. And it is the on command method here. Yeah, I got some mail. True. And the important part now is to understand what this information is that we get here, right? The command sender in this case can be two things. Actually, no, multiple things in theory. But generally, in this case, either it is the player that is typing the command, or it could be the console, because you can actually type commands in the console and that they will be executed as if you are a player. So you cannot just cast this one to a player because you think that's always a player. That is not always true, right? Or it would break then if you call the same command from the console. And then here we have I actually don't know about this one. I would need to look that up because I don't use that syntax anymore. So we need to look that up here in the example. Represents what the command being called is. This will almost always be known ahead of time. Okay, so yeah, okay. Okay, that might be necessary to know any previous information, right? If you have a somewhat complex command, you might want to know this object to look into any kind of additional data within the command, I guess. Do we have an example of the usage of that? No, we only have the registration. Okay, so what we are going to do now, where we want to get to is we want to hot swap changes, right? So we don't want to upload this file 5 times in a row just because we made some errors or we are testing something out. We want to be able to do these changes on the fly. And that we can do by just adding something here that we know that it works, right? So this is then just telling us, okay, something has happened. This is enough. We don't need the rest. We don't need to interpret any of this. We can save this file. And then if we scroll down in the tutorial, there is a registration necessary of the command. And you can see that here. Registering the command. We do that in the onEnable method of our plugin. And we just say that we want this command to be executed when a given word is being typed, right? So we're just gonna steal this. We're gonna go into our tutorial one. We have the onEnable here. We say that we want to register something. This is then just test, and we want to call our test command that does not need any inputs. Gonna save this file, and then they also say you need to add that to your plugin YAML. And we can just steal the definition here. For example, here you have a permission as well. that you need to be able to execute this command, right? So not everybody on the server can execute that command. Only the people that have this permission available can execute that. We're not going to go into permissions in this, but just that you know this is something that you can do, right? So in the plugin YAML, we're just going to add this stuff, and then we're going to say this is a test command. This is a Azure Hotswapping test, and then the permission is just de.kade.test command or something. Okay, we can save this as well. And this should be all we need to do. Now we have a command, and in theory, we should be able to do changes in this file. I'm going to do a small change before we do this. I'm going to just create another method here. Let's call it test with nothing in it. And let's create another one with, I don't know, integer return of tests again. And then we provide a number in there as well, or we provide a, let's say a string. And then by default, I'm just going to return 0, right? So the method has no errors, but it also doesn't really do anything, right? It's useless currently. We could delete them, nothing would change. But these will be helpful in a second. Okay, now we can again call our Maven script here and say install please. This will build our jar file again. We now have our jar file in the folder again somewhere. If I can find where I put that, right there. We can see it's 1 kilobyte bigger. So let's copy that again to the server. And then we go back to the console and we say, please start the server again. And now we should have our second version of our plugin running on the server as soon as this boots up. And we can quickly test if the command works. Let's hope that it does. Otherwise, we need to reboot one more time because you cannot change everything over hot swapping. You need to be aware of that not everything can be hot swapped. And if you are interested generally in the technology of hot swapping, keep in mind that this is now also possible in languages like C++ and C#, for example. You have a very good video of where they introduced that in Visual Studio 2022, right? And they call it hot reload. I need to quickly find that. Where is it? There was a good talk about that, if I can find it. Let me see. Oh yeah, maybe that, did they upload that? Let's go here, I guess. Do they have the same video about this? Okay, I can't find the exact video. But yeah, keep in mind this is also possible then for C# and C++ that you can change your code on the fly and you don't have to redeploy all the time. Okay, our server has booted. We can see our plugin is still running. And now let's just write a test. And we can see in the console already, command is working, right? I typed test and it called our method here. Then let us also do the same with a Minecraft client to make sure that works. I'm on the wrong server here. And let's add a new server. And we are going to say we need the IP address of our new Azure testing server. And that was over here. We just copy this IP. Oh, and I forgot something. I will not be able to connect to that because we did not open the port yet. Right. By default, Minecraft uses one of the ports that if you don't type something in here, then it uses the default Minecraft port. And that is not by default available. So we need to make that available first on the Azure cloud. And we go over here in the current server that we have. And then we should be able to just probably use port as something that we are looking for. And we can see, yep, even though we search port, we have networking here. And most likely it's going to be in the networking tab. And there we are going to say, there is the SSH port available here that is allows us to connect to the server, and we want to create another one of those. So we're gonna call add inbound route, and we are gonna say, what was it again? 25, I forgot the rest. Minecraft port. This one right there. So that is 25565. Okay, we're gonna call that custom, that is correct. We want, in theory, I think we only need TCP, but I'm just gonna leave it on any. Priority, we don't need to change anything, and then we are just gonna call it underscore Minecraft, that we know about, that it's for Minecraft maybe. We're gonna add this port, and this might take a couple of seconds, right? Because this needs to be, there are multiple services obviously in front of your server, right? The server is in the cloud environment, and there are then firewalls in front, load balancers in front, and all that good stuff. So this needs to propagate possibly over some other positions there or other services. So this might take like a minute, we'll see. But let's still connect and see if it works. And we can see it does not yet work. So that might take a second. I want to be an admin. Well, just create your own server and then you are an admin. Okay, that works already. So we just needed to wait a couple of seconds, and now we are connected to this server. And if I now type test, we can see it tells us, I'm sorry, but you have no permission to use that command, right? So I'm not allowed to use that command. We should be able to get around this by making me an op in Minecraft. That is the admin rank in Minecraft. And now I can write test, but we can't see any outputs, right? It does tell us we executed that, but it doesn't give us output because that output is only the console, right? So yeah, it still works even though we are in the game. So what we can do now is we can start connecting to the server, right? And for that, we only need the IP address again from our current server. And this was this one, right? No, this is the... No, it is that one. Okay. So what we need to do now, we go into Intellij. And in Intellij, we go up here to the run configuration. And in the run configuration, we want to have a remote... no, wait. New configuration, remote, right? And then we will find remote JVM debug. And in that one, you will have information about the how to attach to a external service, how to attach to a running Java instance, right? And the server is a running Java instance. What I forgot here is we actually need to tell the server that it should allow this to happen, right? By default, this is not allowed to happen. So what we need to do here is we would need to stop the server, and we would need to look up how we add a command line here to allow the connection, right? So that again, we can just look up. We say we want Java remote debug parameter, or command line, I guess. And we should be able to find this from Oracle directly, I'm pretty sure. And that is right here. There we can see this is additional information that we need to provide into the starter parameter of whatever we are running. And in this case, it is saying that we want to use an agent lib, and it should allow, wait, is that the latest one? I'm not sure if that is the latest one. Let me validate that with the version that I am using. So right here, server scripts, startup parameters, and then we are using DT socket. No, I'm using another one. So this is one of the, yeah, this is, I'm not sure if this is even earlier or later. Let's actually look that up real quick. Um, that is shared memory. Okay, now I get it. Okay. No, shared memory we cannot use. We need a socket connection because we do not have shared memory, right? We have one computer, then in the Microsoft Cloud there's another computer, and we need to connect to that computer, and we cannot just share memory with that. We need to use a socket connection for that. So in that case, let me show you that. Let's copy this and insert that here. So now you can see, hopefully, we have this agentlib JDWP transport DT socket that tells us not memory, but a socket connection. We say that is a server. We say we do not want to suspend the server. That is important because Minecraft is a game, right? The game needs to tick all the time, so we don't want to suspend the server when connecting to it. Otherwise, everybody will be kicked from the server. And then the address in this case, I defined here as a local address. And this is now the tricky part. We could use the remote address from the given server, and then you could actually open up the port, and you could directly connect to that open port. The problem is that is insecure, right? Somebody else could as well connect to that port and look at your running Java service, right? So you don't really want that. You don't want the this here to be accessible by anybody, basically. So what you can do now is you can say that this should only be available locally. And if I start with this, nobody can connect to this service, right? Because it's only accessible from my local connection. But then we can create a tunnel to the given server. And we can then, we can then go through the tunnel onto the server, and then over the tunnel, we then connect to the Java JVM. And this makes sure that nobody else could connect to the same thing, right? That's important. Okay, how do we do that? We do that by having I'm just going to create another window, I think. Let me quickly check that. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so give me a sec. I need to type in the correct command here. Give me a second. Okay. So in theory, it should be just this, right? To create a tunnel to a given server, all you need to do, you don't even need this port thing here. You just say SSH on your local PuTTY session or on your mobile xterm session, right? Or any other SSH thing that you have. And you say then that you want a tunnel to the server, and we say here that the tunnel should be on our local machine on port 5008, also on the remote machine on 5008. We could change this to any other thing, right? They don't need to be the same. I just keep them the same. That's basically it. And then we need to provide the server that we want to connect to, so that we can, again, obviously look up. We don't need those. In here, that is our IP address. And we just provide this in here. And now it asks us again about the password because we need to authenticate ourselves. Give me a second here. My key program, I need to... Oh, I made a mistake. I also need to provide the username. Wasn't it you, or is it user? Or is it a large U or something? These are always annoying. No, it's not you. Mine is L? That is super strange. Why that? Login name. Ah, okay, L for login. Okay, I get it. Yeah. The reason why I don't know that is because normally I don't use a name and password, right? I use a private and public key, and I log in with those, right? So I don't need to type my password in here anymore and so on. And then I don't accidentally copy paste my password somewhere and all this, what can happen, right? So we don't want that. So now you can see we are connected, and it tells us here, bind, address already in use. Well then, that did not work. Let's exit. Let's just check 5009 maybe. Leaked IP, yeah, it doesn't matter. This is a dynamic IP, right? So I can change that. And I also have 2 IP addresses, so that is also not that important. Okay. Does it tell us the same? Address already in use. It does. Okay, that is... Oh, I know why. Yeah. I am still connected to my other server, and that one is blocking my local port 5009, not the remote port. This is why this doesn't work. So now I'm gonna close that connection to the other server. And this time it should work with the original IP address. Yeah, okay. Now we don't have these error messages. We should be connected with that. And now we have a connection from our local machine to the Azure Cloud Server. And that should allow us now to connect to that, right? We said this is 5008. And we can see here, oh, I could have copied the JVM command from here. There you will have the correct command. And you can see here it's also the same. It's a DT socket and suspend no, and then the address is 5008 and on localhost as well. So that's all correct. We can set this up. This is remote Hotswap. We're gonna save that and press OK. Then we have this up here, and now we should just be able to say we want to connect to the server. And that should pop open the console, and in the console you should be able to read connected to target VM. So this tells us, yes, now we are actually connected to the server, and now we can start changing our Minecraft server on the fly. So first thing, obviously, just change the system print line here. So command is working and was hot swapped. And for this change now to be active on the remote server, we need to tell the system to please build and deploy again, or compile and reload file. And I think, what is that again? Anyone remember what's the key bind for that? I rebound that to another key. I bound that to F14. That's probably not the default, right? Was it F11 or something? Reload. Oh, sorry. I can't find it. That's this quick. Maybe you guys can can tell me in a second. Okay, but what I did here is I changed the file and I said compile and reload, please. And that made sure that the file that we just changed is also uploaded to the server. Now, if we go into the correct console here, Control F9. Okay, it should be Control F9 then. If I now type the same test command that we typed before, we can see command is working and was hot swapped, right? That worked. So what we can do now is we can quickly change it again, hotswap 2, save the file, upload, test. And it's already changed, right? That's the 2 at the end. So this is super, super quick to do changes on the remote servers. And this even allows us to do things like that. We can say, instead of printing this, we can say we want the string input here that is coming in. We want this one to be, let's do system out still and say we want test again, the method. We want to input the string that we just created as a parameter and just save that for now. So there should nothing happen with this input string. We should get 0 back, right? So the console should tell length, let's say, and that should give us, wait, what? Oops. That should give us length 0, right? So compile and hotswap, go back to the console, type in the test command again, length 0. Perfect. Now we can actually say, this is a parameter here. We can accept the parameter. So now we can actually return this the length of the input, right? We could say input.length. And then we need to make sure that our system doesn't break if that is null or something. So if input equals null, return null or 0 or something, I don't know. Okay, save this, hotswap, go back to the server console and type in the command again. And we can see we get a length of 4. And now we can just change this, right? We can say length of, I don't know, s is, oops, is that. Hotswap again. And we can see it tells us about that as well. So this is super awesome, right? We can, instead of needing to reboot and re-upload every single change that we do, we can do that on the fly now on the server. And this even allows us to to do more complex changes, right? We could completely change how the workflow behaves. For example, instead of just having a printout here of something, we can actually now try to affect the player that is currently online, right? So we want to make sure that whoever is typing this is a actual Minecraft player and not the console. So we are just going to say that if command sender instance of player, or we could put this here, I guess, and say there are probably hotkeys to do this faster with a not, right? Is there anyone know if there's a hotkey where I can say not something instantly? Okay, so now we say just if it's not a Minecraft player, then just don't do anything, right? So we don't even get this printout anymore. Save, upload, go into the console, type it again. We can't see any output. Then if I go into the, whoops, that is wrong. If I go into the Minecraft client and connect to the server. Hello? Why is this taking so long? That's strange. Okay. And if I now type the test command, we can see now the output is done in the console again, right? So that works. The console cannot execute this anymore. We as a player, we can. So what we can do now is we can, for example, do a casting here, right? We can say command sender should now be a player, right? So we want a player object, player, and that is command sender. And then this needs to be cast, right? What's the, whoops. I forgot the hotkey for, how do I do this quick fix with a hotkey? I forgot that. I only know that in another editor. Okay. Alt Enter. Okay. Yeah, in the one that I use, it's Control 1. All right, now we have the player object, and now we can do some simple operations on the player directly. We could say the test command should now, instead of just typing something, it should actually do something to the player object, right? In this case, we can say, for example, player, and then set velocity, and that is the current speed that we have in a given direction. We want that to be a new vector, so of, for example, 0, 1, 0. This would tell the system now that this specific player should be moving up into the air, right? Because the y coordinate we set to 1, so the momentum of the player is upwards. Now, if we save that, we hot swap this again, we go back into the Minecraft client, and we type in the same command, we jump pretty high, to our death maybe even. But now we basically have a super jump command, right? So I can easily just jump on something. And we didn't even need to reboot the server, right? This is super awesome. We can just do that while the system is running, and we can test out new ideas. Instance of player P. Yeah, I oftentimes try to exit early, right, if possible. That doesn't work with player P. In that case, we would need to have another method that then has the player object as an input, and then we could do that. But yes, you are correct. Technically, we could remove this. We could make a little bit more in the direction of spaghetti, because that is what I don't like about this. And then all of this could go in here. And then we don't need this line anymore, right? This is now obsolete basically in that version of Java. Then you can just use this without an additional cast. So this is validating that the command sender is a player. And then this is the variable that we use for the player object. And then we can use it directly here. I don't use this that often in these cases, because I often mostly try to early exit on conditions that are excluding or something, right? So this condition here is excluding, so I don't want the spaghetti code with, we could have something like, let's say we check on this, if it's a player object, then we check if, I don't know, player is dead, right? So the player shouldn't be dead. And then we do something, right? And then you easily get into these chains that make the code really unreadable, in my opinion. So I try to avoid that oftentimes by just exiting early out of the method. Okay. Yeah, that's super helpful. Okay. Good. Now we have a way of catapulting the player up into the air, and we could do the same also in front or something, right? So if we really want to die, actually let's we could actually increase the health to the maximum amount that a player can have, right? Just to make sure that we are prepared for whatever is coming for us. I'm not sure if we're going to survive this, but we'll see. So now we should be catapulted in the air into one direction. So we can look here in Minecraft what the directions are, and we can see the X coordinate is this way around. You can see the X value there moving. And then we know that the positive X direction is in this direction. So we should be catapulted right in this direction here. So let's test this. Bam, and we fly. Yep, that works. And that was super, super close. But we survived. And now that I have less health than normal, we can do it again. And I should be healed again, right? Because that is also part of the code. And I was healed. Oof. Yeah, okay, that works. Awesome. All right. I think now would be a good point in time to ask you guys if there's something specific that you care about, or if there's something that I should show how that works. Yeah. What are you guys interested in? What do you want to see? And what do you don't understand? Or where did you get stuck? And so on. Anything that you specifically care about here. And in the meantime, backflips. I'm not sure. I don't think that's a feature. Yeah, let's change it back so I don't die that quickly. Okay, that works better. And yeah, keep in mind now, what we cannot do is we cannot add additional methods here, right? So for example, I created this empty method. And if I now try to delete this method, save the file, that still works. But if I now press my key to hotswap to the server, it tells us right down here, Hotswap failed, right? So this did not work. So there are changes that you cannot do. Mostly the changes that you cannot do are creating new classes that oftentimes, or it depends a little bit on what Minecraft version you're using and so on, right? But let's say you're using the default OpenJDK version, then you cannot create new classes, you cannot create new variables, you cannot create new methods, and sometimes you also cannot create new lambda expressions. That also sometimes doesn't work. So as an example, you could have something like some kind of list of something, of strings, let's say. Oh, there was already, I can use this one, I guess. And then you could do something like list.stream. Oh, did I miss the, yeah, I missed it. We need this one. That is already, okay. List.stream, and then we could have some kind of matching on some of the values, right? So for example, we could map the string list to an integer list or something, right? And we could say that, oh, there is some kind of string, and we are mapping that to string.length or something. And then that the integers we want again to map to something else, right? So these kind of methods sometimes can result in you not being able to hotswap because under the hood, this is basically creating a method. So this .map is creating a not visible method. And then if you have these kind of mappings, you can, you can run into the problem that this is being interpreted as a method and not interpreted, but this is represented as a method. And then this part cannot be hot swapped. Obviously, they the guys from Oracle are generally always working on improving the system. So sometimes this now works. Back in the day, this never worked. And yeah, it's getting better. Then you had, for example, also switch statements. So if you switched on anything like, what do we even have here? Give me material. We could use material, right? Ah, goddammit. I'm using the wrong keys from another editor. That's why I'm jumping strangely. Material mat is material.boat or something. And then we could say switch on the material. And then here you could also have problems in earlier versions with Java that if the amount of case statements right here would exceed 6 or 7, then that code is no longer hot swappable. But that changed in the latest versions of Java, so now that works. So in earlier versions, I specifically used if-else in some places instead of a switch, because then I could hot swap the changes and try out different ideas. And then only if it was a part of the code that I was pretty sure this is finished, this is now working the way that I wanted to, then I would maybe convert it to a switch statement if necessary, right? Yeah, so this is, you need to learn a little bit about how hot swapping works and how hot swapping affects whatever you are doing, right? And hot swapping is super useful to testing out ideas. And yeah, for that, you kind of need to know these small tricks and why something is or is not hot swappable. Reloading this server will also load the old jar. That's a good point, yes. I personally do no longer use reloading because that makes too many problems. If I reload something, I am only using the reload command of the plugin that I created. And then the plugin itself knows what it needs to destruct and what it needs to recreate. Then the jar file is never reloaded, and then all of the changes that we do here are still valid. So yeah, I would say that is probably the better idea. I don't really like the reload command in general because that is super hacky. So be aware of that. Reloading the whole server thing, I think it's even deprecated, or it gives a warning or something, right? Maybe. Let's see. I typed in reload. Yeah, please note that this command is not supported and may cause issues when using some plugins, right? That is, yeah, I agree with that. And in my opinion, you should try to avoid that if possible. And either you could, for example, instead of reloading, you could create a command that just restarts the server or something that is pretty close to it, right? But does not get you into places where it's super, super difficult to work with the resulting problems that you can't really see, right? It still reloads, but then some of the changes you did are maybe no longer visible, right? Or maybe some objects were duplicated and you can't see that, right? And then maybe some part of your code base is still referencing the old things, but the new things should be used, right? And then these are problems that are really, really difficult to realize that they even exist. Which IDE are you using? This right now is Intellij, and I'm trying to learn the hotkeys and stuff from this, but typically I was using Eclipse, and they are basically two very capable IDEs. Doesn't really matter which one you use, I think. It's more about what you can do with them, right? And the Hotswapping works as well in Intellij as well as in Eclipse, so both of them are capable of doing these kind of changes. I meant that the jar is not updated. Restarting will also load the old jar. Oh yeah, I didn't think about that. Yeah, that is true. Yeah, the changes that we do here, these changes are only in memory. So anything that you do here, as soon as you shut down the server or you use the reload command, all of these changes will be gone. Or possibly be gone, right? In the reload command, I'm actually not sure what happens there, right? Because we are uploading changed versions of the class files here. And that means that if you use the reload command of Spigot, that also needs to destruct all of these instances, right? And it basically needs to have a custom class loader to make sure that that is all obsolete then, right? I'm not absolutely certain how that is implemented currently. There's a reason why they have this warning, right? So yeah, be aware of that. Any change that you do here will be gone as soon as you shut down the server and reboot the server. But that's also, yeah, that can also be helpful, right? If you're just testing out ideas, then yeah. Can you stop at a breakpoint and evaluate the expression to send a command? Yes, you can, but you need to be aware that this can kill the server, right? Or not kill, but kick you from the server. So let's try that. We can set a breakpoint right here. And I am gonna use this command again. Let me actually save the file and upload. Not sure if I changed anything. And then let's type this again. So now you can see here in the background, it is connected and we do get information about s is equal to test and the command sender is player Kademlia. We can see that down here. But what can happen now is that I am actually no longer able to interact with the world. I'm not sure if that is the case now. We'll find out, but I think I'm gonna get kicked here. We'll see. We'll see. Give it a second. There it is, right? The reason why we are being kicked now is because by default, or generally in Spigot, the commands are being run synchronously. The reason why they do that is because most people are using direct manipulation, like this one, of player objects, or of in-game objects, right? You should only do that from the main thread of the game. Otherwise, you can get into trouble and a lot of things can break, right? This is why they decided that it is probably for the best if commands in general are ran synchronously. That also means that if I set a breakpoint here, the whole Minecraft server is now in a pause state. So because of that, my client does no longer get information from the server, and then I get a timeout, right? The server's not answering, I guess the server's down, right? This is what my Minecraft client thinks. Now, if we just keep on running here, which one is it? F8? Is it F8 as well? Run to cursor, step into. Is it step out? Decompile. Yeah, sure. Don't need that. No, it's not step out, right? How do you say that it should continue running? That was F8 in my editor. It's not F8 here. F9. Okay, thank you. Okay, now the server is again running, and this means that we can again connect to the server, and we will be able to play again, right? Because this breakpoint is not reached. But the next time anyone, wait, did I break something? Uh-oh. I shouldn't. I think this is still because of the port. Oh, no, wait, I'm not at the end here. Oh, it actually... Oh, okay, I missed that. Yeah, this you also need to be aware of. Spigot has a system, this is difficult to read now, but Spigot has a system that detects if the server has stopped responding, right? And if it did not respond for like 2 minutes or something, it will actively shut down your server. And this is what it did here, right? It says, okay, you did not respond for, what is it here? For, yeah, pretty much 2 minutes. And because the server did not respond for 2 minutes, I am expecting something is broken, and I'm going to shut down the server now for you, right? I didn't order this. This is the default behavior. You can obviously disable that, but that is the reason why the server is now offline. So we're just going to start that one again, and then we can reconnect to it, right? But you can directly see what the problem with breakpoints is in an environment like this, where you definitely need the game loop to be still ticking. Otherwise, you get kicked from the server, then it's getting annoying and so on, right? This is why it might seem a little bit counterintuitive, right? Why are you not using the amazing debugging tools? Why are you using like debug lines, system out, print line, and so on, right? Because there are parts of the system where you really, really, really don't want to set a breakpoint, because that is just making everything more difficult. Then if you get into a more advanced stage of programming with Minecraft, you will get to the point where a lot of things could be running asynchronously, and they don't actually need to run on the main process. And then you can actually use breakpoints. But you need to have a very clear distinction then between those two parts, right? The synchronous stuff, you may never ever set a breakpoint, basically. And I guess if you lag out and that's okay for you, you could, right? Then, but that's my way of doing it, right? I never set a breakpoint anywhere in that part. But if you have an asynchronously running thing, let's say some task that is running in the background, and maybe that task is giving everybody money every 5 minutes or something, right? And that does not need to run on the Minecraft server. You actually run a database connection to MS SQL or something, and there you manage the money, and then you have a async thread that is then providing money for everybody every 5 minutes and then just updating the database rows. That does not need to ever talk to the Minecraft server, so that can run on the side. And there you can actually set breakpoints again, and then the Minecraft server is not affected, and you can start debugging. So that works and does not work at the same time, right? Okay, good questions. What do we have? How did you get so good at programming? Depends on what good is, right? But yeah, programming is just a lot of learning by doing, I would say. And having done things wrong a lot of times and then doing them better and learning from your past mistakes, right? This is just keep at it and you will get better every year. Basically, every year you can look back at what you did the year before, and as long as you spend the time learning more stuff, you will get better, and you will have a better knowledge of whatever. And this will keep on going, right? I will say the same next year about myself. All right. You can change the keep alive time. Don't know if that works for players, but the server will wait. Yeah. And do you mean the shutdown one? Oh, this server might. Yeah, you are correct. I don't think the client will wait. Nice with a sponsor. Yes, absolutely cool stuff, right? I'm not sure how much they like it that I talk mostly about Minecraft in this session, right? In the beginning, we talked about Azure and how to set that up, but obviously most of the content is how to debug something on Azure, but it's mostly now about Minecraft, Intellij, and how to use Java in this circumstance, right? I hope they like that still, because I mean, Minecraft is owned by Microsoft, right? So that should be good. We'll see. Yes. But I guess we are getting to the end of the session. If you do not have any more questions, otherwise I will return to what I did before. And then if you have any ideas or if you want to learn about something specific, feel free to contact me and tell me about that. Then we can maybe do another session and talk about that, right? Or if you want to see something advanced in any way, yeah, tell me about it. All right. I think then, as there are no questions, we are good for today. And thank you for watching and participating. All right.